It makes it.
Hey people, it is Saturday, May the 10th. It is 5:30 p.m. And I think it's around 21 degrees Celsius outside where I'm going to be heading right now. We're just getting a look at this streetcar pulling into the Ferry Docks streetcar station here as it's making its way towards Union Station. This is underneath Bay Street, one of the few underground streetcar stops in the area. It does continue underground to Union Station though. But let's emerge back up to street level. It's a beautiful, busy day here in the city. I thought I'd make my way up towards Yonge-Dundas. Just take in some of the sights and sounds of a summer-like day in downtown Toronto. It is getting a bit later in the day, but it's still quite busy. I think a lot of people were out and about throughout the morning and earlier part of the afternoon, taking in all kinds of events that are happening all over the place, really.
Hi.
Hello. I think there's a tulip festival underway. There's the opening of the new St. Lawrence Market North building, the official opening, that is. And big crowds were heading to the Toronto Islands today, including me. I took a ride on the ferry to the island and back. Just to record a video. You might have already seen that video now as you're watching this one. This is Harbor Street. So I could walk to Yonge-Dundas through the path, but being such a nice day, I'll stay outside. It is pretty cool though to think that you could walk indoors from here basically all the way to Yonge-Dundas through the path system. And I have done that before in previous videos on much less pleasant days than this. And that's what the path is good for. People are getting tired of waiting for this light, and I don't blame them. I don't see any cars coming. I'm going.
Because one broke and then the other broke.
I did the same thing in my previous video crossing the other way. Those lights just take too long. Oftentimes there's a huge crowd just waiting and waiting, and even when there's barely any cars coming, the light remains red. Make sure we don't get run over here. There's a bus heading to Ottawa. I think I'd like to make a trip to Ottawa in the not too distant future. Do some videos, a live stream or two. I've been to almost every other major city with over 1 million people in Canada. I think Ottawa's the only one I haven't been to yet. Strangely enough, it's also here in Ontario. I've been to Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, been to Montreal. So why not Ottawa? It's closer than any of the other ones. All right, we're heading north up Bay Street. Looks like they're power washing the stairs leading up to CIBC Square Park. It's an elevated park. I paid a visit to that park not too long ago. Now, can I go through these doors over here without getting wet? Let's see. Bring your umbrella. Oops, I did feel a couple drops hit me there at the last second. Okay, I'm going to walk through the indoor Bay Teamway here instead of walking under the underpass. Where the street is, it's a bit more pleasant to walk through here without the car exhaust. And on a really hot day in the thick of the summer, it's always a good place to come and soak up some air conditioning if you really need to do that. This is all connected to the GO train system here, all these platforms. And Union Station. The stairs will take you up to a GO train. Matter of fact, let's go take a look. There's a Via train, and another Via train is departing there. And here comes the GO train. There goes the Via. It's one of the new trains. Very sleek looking. beat the crowd and go back down. If you're going to hop on a train, you tap on at these machines here with your Presto card or with a debit or credit card. Might be fun just to tap on a train without even looking to see where it's going and just take a ride to who knows where. See, I have low battery on the camera. I might not even make it to Yonge-Dundas. We'll see how far we get. This is just an off-the-cuff video, really. I was just walking along and thought, it's nice, it's busy. Why not just turn on the camera? All right, we're at front. All right, north up Bay Street we continue. Because that's what we do, right? We continue. Go. This breeze is really making it feel much more comfortable. It's just the right amount of coolness to take a bit of the heat off, although 2021 isn't all that hot, but if you're out in the direct sunlight, it can definitely start to feel pretty hot after a while. And it also helps that we're walking up Bay Street, which is basically skyscrapers on both sides, providing lots of shade. The breeze, got the shade. Walking past the Walrus. Always playing music here at the Walrus, but never, ever are they playing I Am the Walrus. Not even once have I heard that song walking past there. Talk about a lost opportunity. And again, we're assaulted by the not Beatles music here. But let's head off of Bay Street here, and I'll make my way through the Commerce Court courtyard as we walk past Commerce Court West, right here on my left. You'll see Commerce Court North once we pass Temba, mother of elephants here, and her two youngsters. This is, I think, my favorite public art maybe in downtown. I think it has a lot of whimsy. I'm using that word correctly. And I like how it's a life-size African elephant, although that's a mighty big one. I think the males might actually be bigger than this if this is a life-size female. I think males can be 10 feet at the shoulder when they're fully grown. I think that's a bit bigger than a Temba there. It's Commerce Court North, with its younger but much taller neighbor to the west. This one is built in the Art Deco style. I think the best example of that in Toronto that we have as far as skyscrapers go. It was the tallest building not only in the city but in the British Commonwealth for a few decades. From about 1930 until the early 1960s. And we emerge onto Melinda Street, just a short stub of a street. It'll take us to Yonge now. At 23% battery. There's 1 King West. And we're at Yonge. I love this part of Yonge Street with these historic 100-plus-year-old skyscrapers. Back in the days when 20, 25 stories was considered a skyscraper, though. Even Commerce Court North that I just showed a moment ago is only 34 stories, but it was the tallest building, as I mentioned, for over 30 years. Crossing King Street. Do not block intersection. Okay. So now, will we make it to Yonge-Dundas or won't we? Have to keep an eye on my battery indicator just to make sure that the camera doesn't die in the middle of a sentence or something. I'll try to give the video a proper end at least before it actually dies. The video I recorded before this one turned out to be an hour long. I wasn't expecting it to turn out quite that long, but Indeed it did. We're on Adelaide. Got the Queen streetcar currently running along Adelaide due to the subway construction on Queen. This is one of those streets in the city that you can record over and over again, and almost every time there's something a little bit different than there was last time. So many new stores and restaurants coming and going constantly on downtown Yonge. It's hard to keep up sometimes. And then again, there are other places that have been here for decades and seem like they'll never ever go away, which is, I guess, a good thing if you're a fan of stability. Crossing Richmond. We might just maybe make it to Yonge-Dundas. Speaking of changes on Yonge Street, walking past the historic building that houses the Hudson's Bay Company and Saxfifth Avenue, both of which are currently undergoing liquidation. Store closing, sad news. This was one of the stores that was initially spared from liquidation, along with 5 other ones. But the plans to perhaps save them didn't seem to pan out. So you know, I can't help but wonder what in the world will come along to replace these stores in this enormous old historic building. There's the Elgin and Winter Garden Theatre. There's 2 theaters stacked one on top of one another. This interior is beautiful for those who have seen some shows, and if you don't go to see a show, you can sometimes get a look inside during Doors Open, which is taking place this month. I'm not sure if that building will be included this year, though, during Doors Open. This old bank building is now the lobby, basically, of the Massey Tower condominium. This one was brought back to life recently. It was vacant and derelict for decades, but now Optimize Financial Group has occupied it. At least it's being used again, sort of in a similar fashion to that which it was originally built for, I guess.
Wasn't done with everything.
All right, we're getting closer to Yonge-Dundas. 13% battery. This is becoming a bit of a race, I think.
And it works just like a TV.
Crossing Shooter Street. There's Massey Hall over there. Another venerable historic building. And this is all the Eaton Center we're walking past on my left here. Speaking of changes, I think there's a proposal to build a huge skyscraper where the Stag Shop and its neighboring buildings are. But I think this one with the Money Mart will be preserved and incorporated into that development, but these other ones, I don't think they'll be so lucky. I think they'll be demolished. The skyscraper that I saw proposed is actually a very beautiful looking building. So it would be a nice addition to the city. Across here, rather than walk under this long construction hoarding. More changes coming here. A new Simon store and an Italy and a Nike flagship store. That's part of the Eaton Center, replacing the Nordstrom that closed down. All right, I think I'll go. Of course, this car has to suddenly start coming. I'll let these guys go. You gotta watch out for these guys. 10% battery remaining. All right. And here's that proposal, 67 stories. Looks like the Octo Zone is also on the potential chopping block if that skyscraper is approved. I'm sure they'll find another location. Those claw machine arcades are popping up all over downtown. I think there's a couple more further north on Yonge. Another theater here, the Ed Mervis Theater.
You guys want live there for it? You got Cayenne meat?
Yeah.
You got cinnamon rolls? Cayenne meat? You got cayenne meat?
Me.
And it looks like I will make it to Yonge-Dundas. We're in the single digits now of battery life. This view looking north will be changing in the coming year. You can see the tall Aura condominium, and way off to the north you can see the One, or now it's just called One Bloor West, rising. I think it's close to achieving super tall status. But on either side of Yonge Street, 2 more huge skyscrapers will change this view. One of them will block out most of the aura here. And on the other side of the street, another super tall will be rising right across the street from the aura. So it'll be a very impressive looking vista looking north up Yonge from here. Once those buildings are all topped out, they're all well underway. But we're here at Yonge-Dundas. On a busy and beautiful Saturday. Almost feels like summer. Made our way from the Ferry Docks streetcar station up Bay Street over to Yonge. Keeping an eye on my battery the whole way. Leave a comment down below if you enjoyed the walk. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you won't miss any of my videos. And if you'd like to support the channel, there are links in the description where you can do so via PayPal as well as via my merch store. Or you can also support the channel by becoming a channel member or by sending a super thanks if you prefer. And you can find me on Instagram also under KContinuum. So thanks for watching, and thanks to all the channel members. And be sure to keep checking back, because as always, we'll continue.